Hello, friends and family again. This is the seventh episode of our series about liberty and faith. And today I'll try to speak to you about this great virtue, mother of all virtues, as the saints say, humility, humbleness. And to begin with, I will remember also a story from the Middle Ages about a saint called Eloy in France. He was also a monk, and he was a very cultured person, one of the counselors of the king, and someone who had, lots of very important activities in his life and so on. And he was also known for being a very ascetic kind of person, did great penances and so on. But in spite of all that, he was a man full of humility, a very humble person. And the legend says that once the devil appeared to him and said, "Oh, I give up. I try all I can somehow to tempt you and to take you away from the good path, but I cannot do that." And the saint answers, "But why not? I am so weak. I thought it was so easy to take me away from the good path, because exactly I'm always worried about that." And the devil answers, "This is exactly the problem, this humility that you have, because being knowing very much, being very intelligent, very efficient, and a very great person, and also doing great penance, all of these things I can do too. I even have faith just like you. I know that God exists. The only thing that I don't have is this humility, and this is like a barrier for me protecting your soul." I think this is a very, very nice story to tell us how essential humility is for Christian life. All the saints and the church say to us that. Let's try to think a little about pride. Actually, what is pride? Pride is, first of all, not the same of selfishness. A selfish person is just like a kind of childish person. He wants everything for himself and wants all the best for himself. We're always selfish, perhaps, in many little things. But pride is something much, much worse. It's like a sickness that comes from inside our heart. We could perhaps define pride as putting myself as the parameter, as the measure of everything. What I think, what I see, my experience, my intelligence, me, myself, I am the measure of everything. And of course, because of that, I tend to look down on others. I tend not to listen to others. I tend to always judge others because I compare them all the time with me, with myself. I can even be externally very nice, even very pious. I can also be very ascetic, for example. I can present myself as a very holy person and speak only of holy things, but actually inside my heart is not God, but myself. It's not God who is the center of my life, but I am myself the center of my life. And of course, I demand then from others consideration, respect. I get offended very easily. I have much difficulty in forgiving, much more in asking for forgiveness. I always must be in a special place. If I'm not in a special place, then I play the victim. I always speak about myself as a very suffering person. I'm always special. I'm never with the others, one with the others. I'm always special. I think that I am really something that should be the measure of everything. Of course, this kind of pride is very dangerous, the Christian theology tells us, because it's closed in itself. If I think already that I have the solution for everything, that I know everything, that I am the measure, then there is no salvation for me, so to say, because I don't ask for help. I don't recognize the need for help, for forgiveness. I don't recognize the need for God, the need for others. And it may be, we see that always in the story of the saints, it may be that I am actually a pride person without many grave sins, but it doesn't matter. I'm still close in myself, and I cannot find salvation, the end of the story of a pride person is always solitude. He is alone. He doesn't have God and the others. Why? Because he doesn't want them. He doesn't think he needs them. On the other hand, a humble person, and we see that always in the gospel and in the saints, can be a very great sinner, but it doesn't matter because he recognizes his sins. He has the humility to see things, face things in their reality, and so he can always come back. That's what Jesus is doing all the time. I mean, he's curing those who are sick because they know they are sick, because they repent from their sins, because they ask him for help. And so the solution is already there. There's no problem if your sin is very big. If you recognize it and go away from it and ask for help, then you have it. While on the other hand, the proud person can be perhaps not a very bad sinner, but he stays there. He doesn't find the solution. We see that pride is like playing a role, is like living in a lie. And because of this, the proud person is always ridiculous. People laugh at him, perhaps not in front of him, but on his back. Because the proud person is always like pretending something that is not true. We all know that. We all know that many times in life we pretend things, we get offended, we demand things for ourselves. Deep, deep, we know that this is not the truth. But because we are pride, we play this role of being a very holy and important person, or very intelligent or very respectable, when we know many times this is not the truth at all. And we are then in some kind of way rebels. We live in this lie. We make a kind of theater around us. We do not accept help. We do not listen. We do not obey. We do not accept correction, and we stay there alone by ourselves as if we could really live alone, which is of course not the truth. And then the end is of course for the proud person not a happy end. Of course, the devil is the greatest example of pride. He can be even intelligent and he can be very able, but he's proud. He doesn't accept, he doesn't obey, and he is then lost forever. That's why humility is such an essential virtue. Humility is, Saint Teresa of Avila defines it simply as living in truth, seeing the truth. Humility has nothing to do with being, how do you call it in English, false modesty. Oh, I don't know to do anything. Oh, I am so dumb. This has nothing to do with humility. It is not actually hiding pride. I have to be special. Humility is just seeing the truth. I am simple, I am natural, I recognize my own mistakes. I see when I've done something wrong. I also see the good things that I have. I am joyful with them. I thank God for them. I thank the others. I can live with the others. I know my place together with the others. I can accept correction. I listen to the others. I can obey. And I can also teach. I can also say, oh, this is something that I really did good. This is some talent that I have. This is not. And the humble person is a person to whom we can say, hey, you did that so well done. And the humble person will answer, oh, thank you. It was really great. But you know what? Without the help of others, I could never do that. I mean, we recognize our own good things, but we know that's a humility, that in the end, everything that we have comes from God, even our lives. That everything that we have also of good in this life, some part of it we owe to the help of others who taught us, to our parents, for example, who raised us. We know that alone we cannot do anything. We have our own personality, our own good things, our own place, but never alone. First of all, God is there. I can ask for forgiveness. I can listen. I do not judge others. I know my own faults, and because of that, I am tolerant with the faults of others. I know that it's not my place to be the judge of others. I love. There is place in humility for love. In pride, there is no place for love. There's only place for rebellion, so to say. I am myself. In humility, there is place for love, for mercy, for goodness, and of course also for receiving from others goodness, love, and mercy. Humility is actually then putting God as the center of things, or better said, recognizing the truth that God is the center of things. What does that mean? Mean that the center of things, the measure of things, is what is good, what is correct, what is loving, not me, not myself. That's why the humble person is generally a very simple person, a very easy person, because he's not full of complications, of sensibilities. He knows that what really matters is not he himself, but God, which means what is good, what should be done here, what we all together should somehow strive to do. The perspective is completely different. And we see also, because of that, that humility is the characteristic of great people. All true great people, great because they've done great things, great because they're holy people, all of them, without exception, are always humble. Humbleness makes them great in the first place, because then they can learn. And on the second place, they are humble because they know that they could never have done what they did without God, without the help of others. On the other hand, pride is always the hallmark of little people, of mediocrity. Because exactly, the person knows that he's not much, then he has to do some kind of pretending to be something. When he knows that he is something, he does not have to pretend. On the contrary, he can recognize the good of others and the need of God. So this is a rule that spiritual masters always tell us. When you see a proud person, you can immediately know this is no great person. And when you see a humble person, you can immediately know this is a great person, this is a good person. Also, one last thing, we always tend to be astonished with the story of the saints who sometimes suffered so much in humility, and we tend to think, oh, these people were saints, I could never do that. Of course, we are just like them. Saints are people just like us. And we are all called to be saints, but let's understand, why did the saints, the greatest example is of course the Lord himself, why did they put up sometimes with so much humiliations? And the answer is, again, because they were not concentrated on these things. They were concentrated in God. So these kind of things that for us, proud people, would be unsufferable, was for them actually not so problematic. Just to finish with a little story of Saint Rosa von Lima, Peruvian great mystic saint from the 16th century. There's this very nice episode in the story of Saint Rosa. She cared for the sick and for the poor. And the story says there was a man that was, a very great sinner and drank very much, a drunkard and so on. And she would always care for him. And this man tried all he could to provoke her, to humiliate her, to really make her feel bad. And she took it all with a smile and was always kind to him. And he got, of course, nervous with that. And he says, why do you take everything I say with a smile? I hate it. I'm trying to provoke you, and I'm doing bad things and throwing things away while you're taking care of me, and you're always so serene. And she smiles and says, oh, you don't know, because I'm in love. And when we are in love, these little things don't matter to us anymore. My heart is so full of happiness. And he thinks, and then she goes away and he thinks, oh, see, we think she's very pure and chaste, but she's in love. What does that mean? I will follow her and discover. And he sees, so goes the story, he sees her in chapel then. And actually Rosa was not her name, but she was called Rosa, because she was so beautiful. And he sees this beauty while she prays in chapel, and her joy. and he understands them, for whom is she in love. And she says to him later on, you see, that is like that. I mean, God loves us so much, and we love him so much in return, and we know we are just so little, but he loves us so much that all these little provocations and humiliations, they don't mean anything to us. Because deep in our heart, we are full of the love of God, which is much greater than all these little things. So let's pray to God that he will help us have true humility, just seeing things as they are in ourselves, in the world, in others, and recognizing that everything is actually centered not in ourselves, but in God. And we must humbly look for God, look for truth all our lives. God bless us all. Thank you for listening, and until our next meeting. Bye-bye.